What's up, guys? Welcome back to another. All right, I'm back. Good morning. Hi, I'm streaming right now. And chat gaslit me into recording this for YouTube. So if you're on YouTube right now, it's their fault, not mine. Thank you. Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make you guys accountable. Chat, say hi to YouTube. Yep, there it is. Okay. All right, perfect. We were going to talk about a tier list for Dark and Darker, but the problem is 784 people have done tier lists. So we're going to do another one anyway, but I didn't, because the characters in this game scale so much off of items you have. It's so hard to say, and it's so subjective. Like, every class can be OP if played well and if given the right items. So what we're going to do is we're going to take every class at level 1. If you started a brand new character, you made your character name, Fortnite Daddy 69 or whatever your name is. Level 1, level 0 classes, we're going to rank them, and I'm going to try to be as objective. Chat, is it objective or subjective? Whichever one means unbiased. And I'm going to try to give reasoning to each. And I explain this to my chat, and I'm going to explain it to the YouTube comments. This is not an invitation to argue. I am all for conversation, friendly debate. I'm not looking for arguments, okay? If you're just going to call me dumb and say yucky things, at least say them in the YouTube comments so I get the engagements for them. That's fine. Let's begin. Level 1 classes, I'm going to rank them, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I don't know how tier lists work because I don't do them often because I'm a terrible content creator. But here's my question. Does there necessarily need to be something in every tier? Like, it does. I mean, if everything was S, could you just go SSS? Is there rules to? No. Okay. All right. Bard. If you had asked me this 2 weeks ago, Bard's here. Okay. A week ago, Bard was here. And now, Bard is still here. Bard is S tier, whether you like to believe it or not. It was, okay, if there was a tier above this one, this is where Bard was. Just playing his stupid little flute to his heart's content. Ridiculous. Are we talking solos or trios? Let's get a rule of thumb for that right now. Let's talk trios, and then we'll talk solos. Trios. Bard, S tier. It just is. This is the best support class in the game. There's almost nothing it can't do. The Bard, for those who don't know, can heal your team recoverable health. It can open unlocked chests and doors. It can regenerate your spells literally infinitely. It can weaken enemies. It can buff teammates. It can silence magic casters. It can turn you invisible. There isn't anything this class can't do as long as you have a person willing to play the class. It can use a bow. It can use a crossbow. You just have to have someone willing to do it because it's a hard class to play. But eventually people just start memorizing the songs and it's out of control. Barbarian. For group play. Group play is assuming you have a support class, a bard or a cleric. I put a barbarian at A in group play because assuming you're being buffed, and we've all been playing this game where a screaming psychomaniac of a barbarian comes flying through a door that he just kicked down, and he's being hasted and ignited by a wizard, and he's being prodded and pocket healed by a cleric. And as long as he can keep you off of his support players, there's really nothing you can do to stop him. It's very tough to stop. Now, the counters to something like this is going to be, yes, as simple as a hunting trap, which we'll get to, or a good hellfire from a warlock, something like that. They can be stopped, but it's a goddamn nightmare. Druid needs a nerf, obviously. I mean, this goes without saying. Just remove the class from the game. It's frustrating, frankly. Cleric for team play. A. Here's why. Again, tier lists are tough for this game because there's so many different builds. If you don't have a bard, you're very limited. You have to bring 640 clarity potions or sit down every 5 minutes, which my ADHD does not allow me to do. If you have a smart cleric, they're very sparing with their spells, and you can make it last the whole raid because they are short raids. So as a support class in group play, I put the cleric at A. I feel like it's an S or an A. I definitely don't think it falls below A. Getting spells back is a nightmare. Now, let me be super clear. If you have a bard, right there, it's an S because you have infinite spell casting. Infinite spell casting on a good cleric, there's nothing you can do. It's out of control. Any class is S tier if paired with a bard. Right, that's why it's tricky. But for me, in my opinion, because it relies on a bard to make it an S tier, it's not an S tier. It's the whole Iron Man, if you need the suit, you don't deserve it thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know if that really applies. Let's assume that if any group has a bard, it raises it 1 tier. So we're going to base everything off of if it doesn't have a bard. Bard's the best class in the game. It enables way too much. Agreed. I would put cleric at A. Fighter. The fighter is for sure the most versatile class in the, well, The Bard is kind of the most versatile class in the game. But as far as like melee classes go, Fighter is obviously, it can kind of do all these things, and it has the incredible sprint and the healing ability and armor rating and all these things. The Fighter just can do too much to not be at least an A or an S. Fighter's dead in the meta? No, I get rolled by Fighters all the time. Dude, a juiced up Ruby Silver Fighter comes flying. Yeah, all the time with the sprints and everything. And we're talking, chat, we're talking group play level 1. Group play level 1. Again, assuming in your group you have some kind of support character. Yeah, Campfire gives them second wind back. They have the heal. I am putting them at A. I'm putting them at A only because I don't like them. And that's how these tier lists are going to work. And that's how my channel works. Moving on. Ranger, and a lot of you aren't going to like this. S tier. The hunting trap. If there was just if I could just change this picture with a picture of a hunting trap, I'm out. Nope. Let me explain why a good Ranger, the aim is on point and their hunting traps are locked in, is the most problematic DPS in the game. A well-placed and well-utilized hunting trap takes out this class, 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 and not this class because Warlock OP. On. Got him. Rolled. Smoked. No, I'm just kidding. They're all dead. Level 1. Ranger is so good. Ranger, I don't think needs a nerf. I'm not like, please nerf any of them right now. I love the way the classes are balanced and people are mad. It's fine. I think if you have a good Ranger on your team, and it needs to be a good Ranger that you listen to, the Ranger on your team kind of sort of should dictate room control, because that's kind of the goal of this game, right? Is get into the zone, get control of a room, and if you can, lock it down. Listen to your Ranger. I'm trapping these doors. Is it also fair to say that the Ranger goes one tier below because of the amount of team damage, aka dugging, that can take place? Yes, very, very much so. You can trap your teammates. You can shoot your teammates in the back of the head. All these things can happen. But we're assuming this is level 1s who are at least somewhat aware of what they're doing. Yeah, something we're not talking about enough is PvE. Okay, PvE, which is arguably more important in this game than PvP. So let's actually revisit each one of these classes very quickly. Bard handles PvE extremely well because of the weakness spell. Barbarian kind of does a lot of damage, except something we didn't talk about with the Barbarian is their lack of access to heals. I was going to bring that up more when we got to the solo discussion, but that's a whole other beast. Cleric handles PvE well. Fighter handles PvE well because of Sword and Shield. Ranger handles PvE well because of well, range. Ranger is S tier, whether you like it or not. I know we hate them, but there's a reason. Usually when you play a game and there's one class or role that's hated the most, there's a reason. It's because it's probably most effective. Rogue! That's weird. There's not a sandwich bar. I don't know. C for crap, and here's why. Mostly personal reasons. I hate them. However, can a rogue in a group setting be effective? Absolutely. Can a level 1 rogue be very effective in a group setting? Not very. Your one perk that you have has to be stealth, or so you can like walk around in stealth or whatever. I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be, but the level of rogue that you have to have for it to be super effective in team play is like they have to have so much experience. They have to understand flanks. They have to know the map. They have to they have to play like a weird kind of stealth aggression to try to pick off, you know, support characters and all these things. And unless your team is baiting your other teams into your rogue, he can't do anything level 1. And people don't really fall for that anymore, man. People don't really fall for, oh, no, come into our room. Like, if someone has zone advantage, they're not going to chase you into a room, you know? Why wouldn't you want literally anyone else but a rogue in a group? True, and that's fair. That's fair. I think for a rogue to be effective in group play, there has to be so many openings created by your teammates in order to put you into this one perfect position. But as a level 1 rogue, what's going to happen is you're going to get a couple good stabs on a support character. And if you don't kill them quickly, you're dead. Rogue is so cool in theory as a teammate, but might as well not even be there. Most times, in theory, as a teammate, such a badass class. And if you can pull it off, if you can make it work, it's so cool when it works. The problem is it usually doesn't. Again, all subjective, of course. Or objective. Or subjective? I don't know. Shut up. Wizard! This one's going to be a little controversial. Wizard's in a weird spot right now. A lot of nerfs, a lot of buffs, whatever. Take all that out of it. We're just going to pretend level 1 gray wizard. Chat, how do we feel? S? I would see, and that's funny. I was leaning toward A. They're limited on spells, but it's very easy to regenerate them. It's not like a cleric where you have to sit down for 6.5 days. it's 30 seconds of a meditation and you get some of your most effective spells back. PvE kicks your ass. That is true. But if you understand, hopefully, the attack patterns of the PvE, you can usually handle it. And Magic Missile is actually really effective against PvE. A for team buffs. Now it does also, that's what I was going to say. It also acts as a support character, right? Because you have haste, you have ignite. We're talking basic level, no perks with limited spells. Yeah. Well, I mean, meditate is like a level 1 ability, right? So, but Invis haste, you can do all of that at level 1. You can do all of that. Ignites as well, Invis, haste, ignite, all these things. Crazy support class. I've seen wizard support by a cleric and just roll everyone. Yeah, oh my god. And the amount of damage that a level 1 wizard does, I don't know the numbers on it, but it might be some of the highest DPS. Dude, a fireball to the face. Base level mage is trash because you need a fire perk to do more fire damage, or the arcane damage perk. Dude, even without the fire perk, a fireball to the freaking chaunch does mad damage. Zap does like 40% of every other starter class's health from level 1. You don't need gear on a wizard to do damage. You don't need much. I agree. Slow casting speed, true. But remember, we're in a group setting right now, and ideally, the wizard's not in front. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're playing with Scout. He's a maniac. I personally put wizard right now at A or S. I think at level 1, it's a dangerous class to come up against if the person knows. And again, this is assuming that everyone has at least base knowledge of the game. I personally am not excited when we have to fight a wizard, but nowadays you can bait out 5 fireballs. If you're at enough distance, you can bait 5 fireballs and then they panic a little bit. And now we go Warlock. This one's gonna break my heart a little bit. Before I say anything, you guys give me Warlock, level 1 Warlock for group play. And I think you'll be surprised maybe by my answer. Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page. I think we're yo, chill. Here's where I was going with it. Here's why, and I'll tell you why. And this is from a guy who now at this point probably has 100 hours on Warlock. The Warlock is nice because you don't have to really sustain him. You don't have to worry about healing him too much, depending on if the Warlock curses himself a lot like I do. He doesn't have a high armor rating. Yeah, he's outshined by fighters and barbarians as far as HP. The damage isn't really all there. The Hellfire is huge. The Hellfire is huge, especially against level 1. There's not a lot of magic resistance going on out there. And if you can pull off a successful Hellfire, you're killing everyone, which is easy to do when you're fighting through a doorway, which a lot of this game is fighting through a doorway. The Blow of Corruption, his Q. Legitimately, the Blow of Corruption on a base magical staff with the Warlock does stupid damage. So if your person is accurate with their casting, their Curses of Pain, their Blow of Corruptions, whatever, a Warlock is good purely because you don't have to worry about them. Now, the problem is, for me, once you get +2, +3, +4 magical healing on a Warlock, he goes up here. Maybe even sometimes up here. Not really, up here. But assuming level 1, you probably have no plus magical healing items. I'd put him here. I feel like we're kind of on the same page with that. Does that make sense? Am I missing anything? Warlock would be A tier if he couldn't self-cast his biggest dot. Yeah. I feel like this is fair in group play. Okay. Even geared, I don't think it hits S. Yeah, I don't, only the best of the best Warlocks, guys who have parries down to a freaking science, who they don't miss their casting. Maybe then, but so that, in my opinion, again, in big letters, in my opinion, is how I feel. You can tell I'm trying to avoid arguing with people. And if you don't feel this way, that's okay too. Tell me why in the comments, just nicely. In my opinion, for group play, level 1 group play is where these classes fall. I feel like I'm not that far off from a lot of you guys in chat. I feel like we're kind of on the same page. So let's restart this. It's pretty good balancing if most of the lineup is close together. Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any crazy imbalances in this game. Let's talk solo play. Level 1, Goblin Cave, day 1, solo play. I think this is going to be quicker and a bit of a switch that might surprise some of you. I put the Barbarian at B. Where do you guys fall on the Barbarian? I'm going to explain why. A lot of you were saying S. A, we're talking level 1. The default battle axe on the Barbarian is kind of ass. It's a slow class, early, especially early. You are slow. And the most important thing, heals. Heals. Assuming you're going to take some damage from PvE, because everybody does. The Goblin Caves especially, I mean, they have poison damage for some stupid reason. You're gonna do a lot of damage. But I don't know, I think just once you've taken damage from one fight, they have the Fear Shout versus PvE. But that's true. That's a good point. You are probably sacrificing Achilles Strike or one of those other abilities, but that's true. You do have the fear. That does help you manage PvE a little bit. But I'm gonna be honest, dude, that skill, a lot of times it just takes them out of your attack range and then they just run back and chop you. It's not really that good, but if you're in a pinch, it does get you out of a pinch real quick. I can see A. For me personally, in my experience so far this wipe, I'm going B. I feel like we're if you know the map and you find health shrines, maybe loot some heals, I think this is fair. Bard. Solo play. Level, I'm going A. I'm going A, and let me tell you why. It's not S, because they're squishy as hell. But a good bard, or at least a semi-knowledgeable bard, let me tell you how they approach a solo fight, because I've seen Nova do it a lot. I did. We had a bard phase. Don't get me wrong. Don't forget, chat. We had a bard phase. What is the default weapon of the bard? Isn't it a falchion or something? It's a rapier. Okay. Rapier is a good distance control weapon. If you approach a PvP fight against almost any of the classes, there's a couple things you have to cast. If you have time, you cast the self buff, the self shield, the weakness on your enemy, and now you're a god. But the problem is you have to have time to get all of these things done. And then if you're lucky, you throw a drum at them for an easy 20 to 30 damage. Now the rapier is low damage. That's true. That is true. We might, for solo gray play, we might go down here. But a good bard, dude, is a problem because they're always buffed. They can buff, they can heal, they can go invis, they open everything. They have a spell that buffs their damage and takes away enemy armor. I agree. I'm with you. We might go back up to A. We might go back up to A. I agree. It's not S. It's not S because you don't always have time to do all of these things. I put this class at A for solo play. Level 1. Level 1. Chat, remember, they also have an AO. They have two AoE damage spells that work through walls. They also have the luck song that guarantees better loot. You know, there's too much utility for this to be under an A. Cleric. Now, I always talk about you need a class for solo that can self-sustain. It can manage heals, it supplements its heals, and it handles PvE well. For me, that alone, Cleric, solo, level 1, puts it A or maybe even S. And some of you were saying S. I think I lean toward S. It's easy mode PvE and PvP. PvE for sure, because you have essentially infinite Windows Vista that you can cast in an AoE around you to take out skellies. So you're never going to get overwhelmed unless you're really an idiot. In PvP, if you can quickly cast at least I don't remember the names of the spells. I apologize. Solo level 1 cleric though, you can cast protection on yourself. You can do extra damage. You have holy lights. You can blind them and do 15 damage real quick. You have bless. Thank you. Bless, divine strike, protection. Thank you. Not to mention, if you switch out your Windows Vista for judgment, that's 30 magical damage right out of the gate. Boom. To open up the fight. Now, a judgment's hard to pull off sometimes. And if they're smart, they'll just push you. They'll tank the 30 damage and get a free headshot on you. It has decent starting gear as well. Your mace and shield combo does decent damage. It does decent damage, even to help with like PvE. You'll fell a goblin, level 1 goblin, in the caves, like 2 or 3 shots. They're dead. That's how I feel about the cleric, and I kind of feel like we're on the same page. Druid. I mean, I just can't emphasize enough how broken this fucking class is. Like, I think we can all be on the same page. Chat, as a community, both mine and the Dark and Darker community, can we just agree that the Druid needs to be removed from the game? It's out of control. Fighter, solo, S tier, there's no argument. If you disagree with this, you haven't tried it. You have infinite sprinting. You have a self heal for 50% of your freaking HP or whatever. You have a great arming sword shield combo that can essentially win you every fight. I don't think there's any disagreements here from you guys, I feel like. Let's go Ranger. S tier. Solo? Dude, maybe even please nerf. I have seen gray Rangers shut down high roller lobbies. Not level 1s, but gray gear. I'm talking a gray recurve and 17 hunting traps. Now, that's not what this is about. The starting gear on a Ranger, Kotan says the short sword puts it at A, and that's fair. That's very fair. The short sword is sweaty dog ass, but it has a fast attack speed. The animations suck, but if you can figure it out, I put it at S. They get a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. That's true. That's a really good point from Superjacked. They're one of the few that get both. That's a really good point. 75 HP worth of healing. Yeah, there's the self-sustainability. If you can just go pick your arrows up. If you land 3 or 4 arrows in a player and then they close the distance and then you have to fight with your melee weapon, you're going to get the job done. Solo Ranger can also treat itself kind of like a rogue. Turn the lights out, take the pots off your belt. You can play stealth and you can play it well. You need some skill to succeed with a Ranger. That is true, man. The Ranger's success depends a lot on player ability. So what if we put it A? Same reason we did for the Bard. There's a lot of player responsibility that's happening. We're back and forth here. You tell me what you guys think. Ranger's good, but a level 1 fighter shits on Rangers all day. Kind of. What if the Ranger's good and a floor above the fighter and the fighter is trapped by zone? And it's situational for sure, but man, if people are hitting their shots, it's tough to close that gap. What if the fighter's in the worst possible position? Okay, you're right. It's very situational. That's why I'm putting the Ranger at A. It's an S a lot of the time, but it's very situational. I'm putting it at A. Solo Rogue level 1. A. And here's why. The starting gear for the Rogue is ass. Your stealth ability is insane in solos. You kind of own the map. if you know what you're doing. If you take advantage of other people's mistakes, you own the map. Catch people when they're looting, catch people when they're opening blue portals, catch people when they're using healing wells or buff wells. But we're talking gobbo caves. We are talking goblin caves, not the ruins. On the ruins, it's here. Level 1 rogue and killing in a 1v1. It's not necessarily, man. If you have rupture, if you have backstab, like these are things you can, yeah, but again, that's situational. That's true. Level 1 rogue might be the hardest hurdles in the game. That is true. Early rogue is really tough. Here, okay, actually, you know what? I'm thinking about how bad the starter gear for the rogue is. And let me say this, as you level up, and let's say you're getting gear kind of accordingly, the rogue starts to do this. Especially for solos, ready? It starts to do this. Dude, when you got a rogue running blues and purples, and they have weak point and rupture and all this shit, it's impossible. I'm constantly seeing on people's streams, rogues 2-shotting full health barbarians. 2-3 stabs back of the head, they're dead. Level 1, you guys are right. I'm going to put it at B. You can control enough of the situation to be advantageous, but you're a victim of your gear. And I think that that's fair. You guys, good comms talking me down from an A. I can't believe I just did that. Jesus Christ. Warlock. Right here. As a warlock solo level 1, you literally have infinite healing. If you're smart, stop casting Curse of Sacrifice on yourself, Mason, please, God. In the beginning, all you have to do is shabonk the goblins with your fucking staff that you have really good melee damage with, okay? If you take any damage, you double dot an easy mob somewhere, a goblin who's under you and literally can't get to you or whatever, and you can fill your health up. You can always, if played even by a somewhat knowledgeable gamer, you're always at 100 HP essentially. And then a player engagement starts. They have to push you, probably, right? You put a dot on them. You're now passively healing, even for a little bit. Blow of Corruption on your base staff does, I don't know what the number is, but it's a good amount of damage, dude. I'm telling you, you can cause a lot of problems for people. Solo level 1 warlock. We did this early white man and we were rolling the goblin caves. It's very good. It's very, very, very good. I put it at A. Plus Hellfire. Dude, I might go S. I would do S, but I feel like everyone would say it's because I'm biased and I love the warlock. So I'm going to do A. It's right in between for me. And now, last but not least, the wizard. Doug said earlier that the rogue is one of the hardest hurdles to overcome early on, level 1. And I think wizard is the other one. Solo, it's just a lot. You know, you're limited and you can meditate, but on the solo map, the raids are so slow that meditating often kind of sucks. I've seen a lot of A. A lot of people saying A for Wiz. Solo level 1 Wiz, you think A? You do have Magic Missile, which can kind of dispatch any PvE that you really have to worry about. Base tier, no one has good magic reduction. That's true. That's a good point. Level 1 solo Wiz, it, for me personally, is like, other than Rogue, like the hardest beginning class. But for me, I mean, maybe other people didn't have the problem. I put it here. Maybe even here. For me, in my opinion, solo level 1. I put it probably here. Please move the Ranger. If I was going to move the Ranger, it'd be here. Just to be clear, I put the Ranger probably. Honestly, the Ranger's staying there. Chat, how do we feel about it? How do we feel about it? I feel like we did a good mix of me rage baiting you mixed with actual real feedback. I feel like this, dude, this was actually fun. What the hell? Yo. Thanks for the help with this, chat. I feel like this is good. I feel like this is really, really good. Cool, cool. That was a blast.